enterprise research at Telegeography.
So tell me something about Telegeography.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we are a market research firm that's totally focused on the global telecoms market. So we do original research on all kinds of topics related to both wholesale telecom networks and enterprise retail-focused wide area networks, which is of course why we're here at the WAN Summit, and we founded the WAN Summit to be able to have these conversations about the infrastructure and pricing of wide area networks. And so, and that's basically how our research shop is divided. We have some analysts that work specifically on the physical infrastructure of the internet. So that includes submarine cables, carrier networks, how much traffic is flowing across those networks, how they're connected in terms of the global IP network. And then very importantly, I think for your audience, we also have a product called the Cloud and WAN Infrastructure, and that looks at cloud provider geographies and orienting maybe your network provider to your cloud provider. The geography of the cloud, as we like to say, there is no cloud, only other people's computers. And it matters very much, depending on what applications you're running and that sort of thing, of how close you are to those cloud instances and what kinds of connections you have the ability to procure between your office or your locations and where your cloud instances sit. So that's one of our big focuses on that side. I'm personally mostly involved in the pricing side, and so what we do there is for all kinds of these telecom services, we track pricing around the world. So we can tell you what submarine cable wavelength links cost down to what is your local access, your internet, your MPLS ports, even renting space in carrier neutral kind of facilities, colo facilities, data centers, and that sort of thing. So you can come to us to sort of benchmark your entire wide area network ecosystem.
So you're a veteran in this industry, just like I'm in this industry for over 15 years in cloud. We have seen a lot of initiatives. We have seen a lot of developments from data center operators trying to take a piece of the market. The guy from VRT who acquired Telex purely for that segment. You see Equinix currently with Cloud Exchange. Those are big, well-funded companies. Zayo, who is announcing that they split, and then suddenly they don't split. What's in your opinion the next big step, and how could, let's say, small, medium data center operator tap into it?
Yeah, so I don't know that this is really bleeding edge, but it's been a trend that's underway for a while, but is still ramping up within the enterprise community, and that's just data center migration. I still talk to WAN managers who have on-premises data centers, and they really want to get rid of those, right? You don't want your data center in the basement of the headquarters anymore. And we're surprised to see, we do something called the WAN Manager Survey, and we ask, how many data centers do you have across your global network, and how many of those are on premises versus in a colo center, data center that's neutral, like Equinix, And it's a surprising amount that still haven't undergone that transformation. So I think that's the key thing that I would be looking for is to be able to get people to make that transition, get their data out of their own premises. And then also the other big thing I think that's changing, and this is in part due to SD-WAN, which of course is what everybody wants to talk about these days. SD-WAN's the hot topic for the past couple of years. But I think SD-WAN might facilitate a change in how you think about connecting to your infrastructure and platform providers, right? Whereas before a lot of people we talked to were using MPLS to connect to their cloud providers, that's really expensive, right? If you moving to local internet breakouts is obviously been a trend for SaaS, but also now for infrastructure and platform as a service as well. In part facilitated by SD-WAN, but I think there is in the next couple of years going to be a big transition on how enterprises connect to their cloud service providers.
So an enterprise, in one of your slides, you mentioned the average spend is about 500K on a monthly base for internet costs. 85% of the market is smaller companies, the single home office companies, up till let's say 400, 500 people in total, which is small medium enterprises.
Right.
How can they position themselves in such a way that they will be taken seriously as well by the big telcos who primarily focus on the enterprise who spends those 5 to $1 million per month?
Right, sure, yeah. That's an interesting question. My first answer, I think, would be that there are carriers that really do focus on the SME market as their business model. Particularly if you're sort of domestic to the U.S. or only within Western Europe, as many of the SMEs tend to be, right? More geographically focused. And I think there, the prices are actually really good because these are often competitive carriers like your MSO kind of cable operators that really go after that market. And there's also SD-WAN vendors that have focused on the SME market, and really like some that will sell you SD-WAN that's designed for connecting just a handful of offices. Right? We've seen some providers who say, yeah, you've got 5 offices. SD-WAN is still useful for you because you can have an active kind of connection. Maybe you're even getting just consumer grade internet, and it's really going to improve the performance of everything you do. So I don't know if this answers your question, but I doubt very much that the large PTT, ILEC kind of carriers are ever going to have a real big focus on the SME market. But I think you can find carriers and vendors out there who are specifically focused there and are very happy to talk to you even if you're very small.
So if you see in hindsight the developments in technology, you mentioned the broomstick hosting companies who put the service in a broom closet. Then we migrate those broom closets into a data center. Then we took a data center to a cloud service provider. We limited the amount of locations. And now suddenly we have edge computing. And now we take it all back home. It seems like that we are a little bit unaware where we want to take our stuff to with respect to cloud computing and capacity and storage. How do you see that with SD-WAN? Because see with wide area network and segment, because SD-WAN is of course for many container description similar as 5G. We have heard something about it, we don't know something about it. And if we find somebody who knows more about the topic than I do, then we will hire him and put him on stage. Like you or me. So, but where do you see that movement that we are taking? It's a diagram. It's going up and down, so we go and take stuff in the data center, we now take it back for the edge. Which opportunity do you see for companies to make a move in that segment?
Yeah, well, if you're a WAN manager, what's your key concern all the time? It's just the performance of your applications, right? So, and so I think that's been that sort of learning curve. But you had your client server in-house data center, and so you're talking about performance over a LAN. Then you're moving that performance over to a WAN. Now SD-WAN technology sort of provides you the ability to have specific policies for specific apps that can tune your network to make sure that those apps are performing the way that you need them to. So I think that's really where the opportunity is to we still see that most enterprises have not yet adopted SD-WAN. It's still only about maybe 25-30% of the market who's even in the rollout phase yet or already implemented it. So I think that's where we're going to see a real movement over the next couple of years in terms of being able to manage wherever your applications are sitting and needing to interact with remote employees, mobile employees. I think SD-WAN is the key technology that facilitates you to be able to understand and control those difficult aspects.